Thank you, Mr. Barton. Mr. Braley for questions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And my math certainly is not as good as the ranking member's because he is, after all, an engineer. But the briefing we received, we were informed that these relief wells could take 90 days to complete. And if that is the case and we are not able to cap off the flow of oil and it gets worse, then we will easily, in the next 90-day period, exceed the quantity of oil that was spilled by the Exxon Valdez. It is not a trivial problem to the people and who get their livelihood from the Gulf Coast. And Mr. McKay, we have been reassured by the federal government, and you stated today that BP will pay all necessary cleanup costs and is committed to paying all legitimate economic damages associated with this spill. Is BP self-insured for all of these items of loss and damage?
Yes.
So your corporation will be on the hook. It has not insured any of that risk or reinsured any of that risk. Is that correct?
That's correct.
One of the things I'm concerned about is reports that have come out recently, Mr. Newman, specifically National Public Radio broadcast, dealing with efforts by your company to compel Deepwater Horizon crew members to sign forms the day after the accident, stating they suffered no injuries from the incident or the evacuation. And yesterday, the committee staff was allowed to review several of those signed forms, and I want to read for you the key passage for the record. The form states, quote, "I was not a witness to the incident requiring the evacuation and have no firsthand or personal knowledge regarding the incident. I was not injured as a result of the incident or the evacuation." Is it your understanding that was the language in the forms that were presented to your employees?
That is the language on those forms, Congressman.
Are you aware of any information given to those employees before they were asked to sign those forms?
Between the time the individuals arrived on shore and the time they were presented with those forms, there was a tremendous amount of information provided to our employees in the form of support, medical care, clothing, food, hotel rooms, discussion with them about how we were going to facilitate their travel.
Okay, let me cut you off because my question goes to the language in this document. Was there a briefing given to them about what was the intent of the form and why they were being asked to sign it?
Because I wasn't there, Congressman, I can't tell you exactly.
Who gave them these forms to sign?
They would have been presented by the support team that Transocean mobilized to Louisiana to facilitate the onshore assistance of those individuals as they came in from the rig.
How do we get the names of the individuals that were on that support team?
We can provide that to you.
Okay. It says in the form, "I was not a witness to the incident." What was the incident that was referred to in these forms?
The incident would have been the well control problem on the rig floor and the subsequent explosions.
All right. Given that description of the incident, there were no witnesses to the incident, were there?
There are no remaining Transocean individuals alive who were on the rig floor at the time of the event. I don't believe so.
Right. And when it says no firsthand or personal knowledge regarding the incident, did anybody explain to these employees what that meant?
Again, Congressman, because I wasn't there, I'm not sure exactly what was explained to the individuals.
Well, the press reports indicate that the crew members who survived the explosion spent somewhere between 12 to 15 hours on a nearby vessel as they watched the rig burn. And after the survivors made it to shore, your company escorted them to a hotel for questioning. These men, many of whom were exhausted, potentially traumatized, and desperate to contact their loved ones, had to decide whether or not to sign that form before going home. Do you know, Mr. Newman, whether these employees were allowed to consult with their personal physicians, counselors, or attorneys before they signed those forms?
Congressman, the Transocean employees were not forced to sign the form.
That's not my question. My question was, were they allowed to consult with a physician, a counselor, or their attorneys before they signed the statement?
Because some individuals didn't sign the statement until a week or so after the event, they could have had consultation with anybody they chose to have consultation with.
How many individuals waited a week or so after the event to sign the form?
I don't know that, but we can provide that to you.
Please do. They also interviewed on NPR one of the Deepwater crew members, a Christopher Choi, who did sign the Transocean form. He says that he was angry because he wasn't able to talk to his physician or attorney. And let me tell you what his experience was. He saw multiple explosions and flames coming out of the derrick. He saw men pile into one lifeboat while 2 others burned. He saw his friends and co-workers with burning flesh and broken bones. He lived through this disaster and saw those things that I hope you and I never have to experience in our life. Can you tell us why he was asked to sign a statement that he had no firsthand or personal knowledge regarding the incident after experiencing that?
One of our concerns in the aftermath of this event, Congressman, is to conduct as thorough a fact-finding exercise as we can. And part of the facilitation of that fact-finding exercise is to identify individuals who might have helpful knowledge.
And wouldn't you agree with me that a reasonable interpretation of the words firsthand or personal knowledge regarding the incident might mean people who had witnessed the aftermath of that explosion and the impact that it had on employees who were working on that rig?
I'm not sure I can. Do you want to engage in a debate about the terminology?
I'm not trying to engage in a debate.
knowledge?
I'm just asking you if that wouldn't be a reasonable understanding that someone who had witnessed the things that Mr. Choi described would have firsthand or personal knowledge regarding the incident.
That might be true.
I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Gett for questions, please.